This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, to introduce myself Ravinder. I'm working as a SQL DBA last 14 years, and I'm working as a Azure SQL DBA close to 7 years. I do work on MongoDB, Postgres, and AWS Cloud as well. So this is about my introduction. So the major agenda today is about why we need to learn the cloud technologies and why it is adopted in the market, what kind of benefits cloud is giving and why rapidly people are implementing the major benefits. With the focus, we will spend a lot of time on benefits of cloud implementation and all that, right? So then first we will talk about on-premise data centers. To maintain the on-premise data centers, what are the challenges people are facing it? Then what was there before cloud implemented in the market, and virtualization, how it is impacted the market. I know, like I just took this visualization information just to talk about how people are moving when they are getting benefited with the technologies. That we will spend a little time over there. And cloud deployments, and this is where we're going to spend a little time. Categories and cloud deployments and benefits of cloud, this is a major topic for us. Anyway, let's start with the first discussion about on-prem data centers. To maintain on-prem data centers, there are challenges for any individual to, to keep the databases up and running, and they have to do certain actions all the time. So first thing is dedicated space for housing infrastructure. So generally, data center, you don't sit at the data center and start working. Data centers are remote located, and you connect over the internet and start doing the administration basically. So you cannot enter into the data center even as a DBA as well. So you need to have authorization to enter into the data center where it is somewhere it is housed and protected with the physical security guards generally. And it generally verified that that area is not affected by the natural calamities like floods, earthquake kind of. So this will be verified by the separate department actually. And you operate somewhere and data center is somewhere, you always connect through the internet, so you need to have a high bandwidth internet provider connectivities all the time with your data center. That must be taken care by the people who are deploying the data center. Software licensing. See, we will run the business with many softwares. Some are open source, some are licensed, some are semi-licensed. So you need to track how many licenses you are using it, how much money you're going to pay. You have to track. If not, you're going to see big bill anyway. Extremely redundant power source. So maybe like the data center area might lose the power because of the strikes in the area, maybe floods, maybe something interrupted, and power cuts happen through the government. So you need to have a immediate UPS system which will give the power supply to the servers. Even UPS also drained out, you need to have a diesel generators to supply the power. You cannot go to the end user, say that my server is down, I cannot serve the data at the moment, kind of, right? So you definitely have to have a proper redundant power source so that your service will serve the data all the time 24 by 7 irrespective of the situation. Dust-free controlled environment. So within the data center, you must maintain the dust-free environment because servers run 365 days 24 by 7. So when the dust around, the CPU fan will picks up the dust. If you try to reboot it, it won't reboot basically. Even you would have seen your laptops also, it will give a beep sound. You have to clear out the dust, then you have to start it. So it absolutely should be dust-free environment within the data centers. Efficient cooling and ventilation system. Cooling is very important because when the systems runs 24 by 7, they do generate a lot of heat. And if you don't maintain the temperature, the circuits will break after certain temperature. So it must be maintained. Proper cooling must be maintained. High physical security impact. So your data centers, even the company employees are also not allowed directly. There should be proper authorization to enter if anything has to be repaired, or replaced, or they are adding more equipment to the data center. So only authorized people who are got the official, like the letter who are authorized to enter. It must be protected. In fact, you will have a lot of competitors. They can damage your reputation with anything, right? So you must protect it. And inter data center network. So you cannot rely on a single data center at any point of time. You definitely have to have DR data center. Even if primary data center goes down, you should not run out of data. Data is the only thing you can run the business. Everything is through the data only is getting operated nowadays. So you definitely have to have one another DR data center again. You have to do all of these things again there as well, and this together very expensive, combination, all these actually, for an individual to maintain. In fact, if a startup company, they cannot invest this big amount on building up data center itself, the startup companies, right? So cloud is become a ready-made solution for all the startup companies, especially. Maybe some people are already having data centers and they're operating from the with their own infrastructure, but infrastructure will get outdated after certain while. Like data is growing, and the hardware that they are having is will get outdated, because the older the hardware, then data is big, then it won't process the data. The capabilities of the hardware will outdate. So in that case also, they have to move slowly to the cloud to look of easy methods to upgrade or migrate the servers and all that. We're going to talk about. I have a good discussion towards that. So what I wanted to conclude here is, to maintain on-prem data centers, it's not easy task for anyone. Again, these are all, we were talking about only infrastructure side, but technicians, you will have a lot of different profiles. In fact, right? Infrastructure admins, you'll have it. Backup admins, you'll have it. Hypervisor and monitoring. There are many people you need it to keep things live and active all the time. So these all can be avoided, especially infrastructure side. You can cut down your resources when it moves to the cloud side, especially the infrastructure side. Infrastructure admins, backup people, hypervisor, right, Windows team. These people will get highly impacted when cloud is getting implemented, especially because the underlying hardware is completely handled by the cloud anyway. So this is all definitely challenging part for anyone to maintain their own data centers. And what was there before cloud evolved? Cloud actually started in 2006 by AWS. In fact, that is the oldest cloud technology that is there in the market. So before cloud, what used to be their managed services? It is equivalent to cloud only, but their existence is very limited to one geographic location. They don't have, still these people exist in the market, in fact. So what these people do actually, they serve the like IT resources in particular region. Whoever operating in that, whoever doing the business in that region itself, what they'll do, they can go to the managed services. They'll ask, okay, I need 10 servers to run my business. Please spin off and make the servers under network and secure it, take the backup, maintain the uptime, everything they'll take care. You just have to pay uh, per annual or per month based on the contract you deal with. But these people are actually do the end-to-end support. You don't need anyone to maintain your server. You just give them the, this many servers I wanted, this kind of configuration I wanted. They'll spin off, they will give you, and they'll maintain end-to-end. So these people are actually more than the cloud. What is cloud is giving half of the administration, half we have to do it, but these people do everything. But the problem with these guys is actually they don't exist around the globe. They'll have a limited existence. That's why these are all fading away slowly, actually. Virtualization. Virtualization brought very big revolution into IT industry. So why? Because before the virtualization, every different business needed big server to sustain with the peak loads actually. So you have to configure a server in such a way that there is a huge traffic is coming at particular point, or seasonal traffic. You have to build a server to take that load. But what about the other time where there is no load at all? So your IT resources are getting wasted. You're investing a lot of money, but you're not getting the 100% of the utilization of that resource. So when the virtualization came into picture, you can buy a big server, you can build tiny small servers on top of it, and you can use each server to the different business model, so that if one server is not using, other server will use it. It runs on a shared basis basically. We can reserve the resource as well, but it is by default runs on a shared basis. So if one server is not using, maybe other server is using for the maintenance task, even in the night also. So here people save a lot of money. So why did I like kept this slide when we are talking about the cloud? Because I wanted to talk about that, where there is a benefit, people are smart nowadays. Where there is a benefit to save the cost, where they are easily moving it, right? So there is a benefit there. Actually, it's a proven fact that the 99% of the servers are nowadays in the market are fully virtualized. They are not physical anymore at all, because of virtualization making such a benefit to to save the resources. In fact, you are getting the optimum utilization of your IT resources, in fact, by using the virtualization. So market actually moving where they have a like a performance, and where they have a saving, where they have like a flexibility to maintain the infrastructure. So all that all matters actually for anyone. So let's talk about what is cloud computing. Cloud computing is something you keep with a third party provider, like you place your data in third party provider, the underlying hardware, they will maintain it, and you will access as you require the data basically. You have to again, form the network communication. We're going to see that how we can form the communication with on-prem to cloud. I'm going to show clearly in our classes. We have a good discussion, 4 or 5 classes discussion, how we can integrate our network with a cloud network, how we can block the communication if you want, how we can open the communication with the particular IPs. We're going to see all of that. But for now, see, just for the basic understanding, it is a use of remote servers and the internet to store, manage, and process the data rather than keeping the data on your local computer, basically. So you're keeping your data on someone else's server and they are managing it, and you are getting retrieving the data as required. In fact, the underlying hardware you don't worry about. Like if Hyper-V server is down, then it will have a standby cluster. In fact, one goes down, other one will automatically fail over, and you don't see that that something went down. Kind of, they maintain the clusters in the background. So this will be like cloud computing is a delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet on pay-per-use basis. So you need 10 servers today, maybe tomorrow you need 12 servers, but after a few days you don't need 10 servers or 12 servers. You wanted half of the servers only because your business don't need that many servers. You can destroy straight away. If it is on-prem, assume a case, you bought a server and you are not utilizing it because the business went away, what you are using in that server, you cannot sell it off, right? That is a outdated hardware. You have to send it to the scrap vendor. In fact, to scrapping a server also, you have to pay money, in fact, basically. So in cloud, it's not like that. You create a server, you use it how long you wanted to use it, then destroy it when you don't want to. You don't need to pay right after it anything at all. So you're taking the server on rental basis. In fact, it is a pay per use basis. How many hours are using, how much resource you are using. Based on that, you get the bill. That's how the cloud operate actually. In fact, cloud deployment models. Public cloud is open for anyone, whoever have a credit card. They can just create a account and they can spin off any service that they wanted for their business. In fact, cloud is extension of on-prem. Whatever you have in the on-prem, you have almost everything in the cloud as well, because it just like the technologies what we have in the on-prem, they implemented in the cloud. In fact, cloud is means like someone is giving the services and you are taking it. So cloud is always is an extension of on-prem technologies itself, in fact. So public cloud is available for anyone and everyone, and they just need to have sign up and then start using it. There is no restriction for anyone. You are a good guy, bad guy, doesn't matter. Like you are a hacker or you are a corporate company, doesn't matter. You just have a credit card, just sign up and then start building the services. Private cloud. Private clouds are actually, see, whatever we discussed, the first data centers, the on-prem data centers who is owned by single organization, that also a cloud. In fact, why it is a cloud? You are placing your server somewhere. You are not sitting just beside the server and doing the administration, or you're not doing like that, right? The servers are hosted somewhere and you are connecting through the internet. So whenever you are making a remote connection and doing the administration, that comes as a cloud itself. In fact, these data centers actually owned by single organization, they don't share with anyone at all. Like whatever, like the servers are fully protected by the firewalls and no one can enter into the network. In fact, it is a fully proprietary resources, in fact, for a particular company. Hybrid cloud, this is a famous nowadays. Even our company and my project also operating hybrid cloud model. What exactly the hybrid cloud? So example, I have my own on-prem data centers, but my business is growing, my data is growing, my requirements are growing. I need more servers. I cannot afford to buy more servers right now. Then I can take the cloud as a immediate solution. I'll run some of the part of the business in the cloud, some of the part of the business in on-prem, and I'll integrate both of them seamlessly. The business can run. So the combination of on-prem and cloud together is actually hybrid cloud. So nowadays, people, you would have seen in your companies also, your company don't need a cloud, still they're exploring the cloud. They're asking employees to explore the cloud. So free accounts are created and they're asking, and there is a kind of plan to migrate to the cloud everywhere. People are planning to cloud only. Ultimately, you'll see, down the line, everything runs through the cloud now. In after few years, in fact, for sure. The problem here is, you buy a server today, and you have example some data on that server. It is okay to process that data, but after 10 years or 5 years, the data is growing abnormally nowadays in every sector. When data is growing really, abnormally, but the hardware is actually outdated, it won't scale, right? When the data is huge and you got the hardware like few years ago, which is actually not up to the mark, it's not so sophisticated to process that big data. You definitely have to look for the new hardware to process that, big data, in fact, right? So when you have to do that, you have to reinvest again right from the scratch, right? To buy a new server and then set up the server, migrate the data, so and scrap the old servers again. You're reinvesting almost, right? So you're building a data center now. After 10 years, maybe you have to rebuild again, because entire hardware what you bought today is absolutely outdated. So cloud is not like that. Just your software wanted to upgrade, your hardware need to be upgraded, just migrate it and destroy the old one. You don't worry about. You already paid how long you have used, for how many hours you have used, and you're destroying it. Right after it, you'd never get a bill of on that. You don't worry about actually about the scrapping and all that, right? So it is giving the benefits down the line. Maybe you might not see the 100% in a lot of cost saving, but down the line, yes, companies are seeing the benefit. In fact, that's why the cloud is actually getting implemented very rapidly in the market, right? This is important, especially. You can ask questions, guys. You don't need to keep quiet. And if you wanted to ask something, you can ask. SaaS is a software as a service. These are all ready-made softwares. Here, you don't need to do anything. It is a direct, you just spin off and use it. That's it. You don't have to do any kind of administration on top of it. Like you are using Gmail. What do you do when you wanted to use a Gmail? You go to the site, you'll give basic your information and start using it. No one is approving it. It is a predefined, well, like a framed software. You just spin off and go and use it. If example, go to meeting, I did not do anything. I paid for the licensing, I like, gave a link, and then I'm started using it. So it is just, like if you go to the Google Play Store, all apps comes under SaaS services. No one actually, if I wanted to use a WhatsApp, I don't need to contact the WhatsApp company that I wanted to use a WhatsApp. I'll just download, I'll give my phone number and verify the OTP. That's it. I can use it. I can send a message to anyone who are in my contact, right? So anything that you use as part of the ready-made kind of thing, that comes under SaaS, in fact. Okay. So as a DB also, you don't do anything. It is a well deployed and developed product. Nothing you have to on top of it. It is just a service which is already there. You subscribe and use it. As simple as it is. PaaS is something you don't have a VM and you are creating a service, and the service runs on top of the cloud infrastructure. You don't have any access to the VM where it is running. Okay, and you use a service, you can do the optimization, security compliances, and network access related, and indexing maintenance. You build your own DR plans and data load balancing. You can do a lot of things here, in fact, in the past model. But you don't get the access to the underlying hardware where the product is running. In fact, it just runs. You go to the SQL Server, you create it, it will run as a service, and you only connect and create databases. It takes the database backup automatically. Everything is something, 50% of the work with the cloud itself. You don't have to worry about. IaaS, if you talk about IaaS, anything you create a VM and do inside the VM, that comes under IaaS service. In fact, infrastructure as a service. Without a VM, if you're not, you're not creating a VM and you're creating any product services, that comes under PaaS services, platform as a service, because we don't have any underlying VM control and all, but we are still creating the services and start doing the administration on top of it. So that comes under PaaS model. IaaS is just like you create a VM, do whatever you want to do within the VM. You wanted to create a database, you wanted to create a middleware, any application software, it doesn't matter. They are giving a VM simply. They don't mind at all. They are giving a VM virtual object. Within that, do whatever you wanted to do. They don't care about it, in fact. So you are responsible to patch it if you are not asking them to do. I'm going to talk about how you can patch the VM in the cloud. Basically, we can ask the Microsoft or we can do ourselves. Both the options we do have. I'm going to run through all of that anyway, right? Any questions on these things, SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS? Anyone. I mean, if you see this, diagram, just for the sake of information, if it is on-prem, you are fully responsible for everything, in fact, right from the scratch, building network, storage, servers, virtualization technology, the operating system, middleware, runtime data, everything right from the scratch to every single thing you have to take care. If it is a cloud, it is an infrastructure as service. You don't worry about the network. Networks are inbuilt. You have to give the private networking. I'm going to talk about that. Public IPs you cannot control. It is automatically assigned, and if it is assigned, you have to lock with the static IP. We're going to see that. And storage, absolutely, you don't have to worry. If example, I have 1 TB, I wanted to make it 2 TB, the same drive. I'll go to that drive and then edit and then give the number and save it. That's it. You don't know how many LUNs in the background actually joining and projecting that logical storage for you. You don't have an idea. You just give a number, it'll expand. So here, no infrastructure guy have to work here. Even product guy also can expand a disk with one single click. In fact, we're going to see that. Servers and virtualization technologies, they build it and you just have to choose the operating system. When you're creating the VM, what you wanted on top of the VM. You wanted Unix operating systems or you wanted Windows operating systems, and what version, what edition, all that you can choose it according to the need. Then you will have anything, after that, after the VM is given, do whatever you want to do. You wanted to install database softwares or middleware or front end or whatsoever, doesn't matter basically. Then if it is comes as a pass, if you look at the pass, you cannot choose operating system. You cannot choose a SQL Server version. By default, it is on 19 and enterprise edition. In fact, you cannot choose it. There is no option for you. You create a SQL Server, it will get created, and it is by default to the 19. You cannot go to the 16, 14, 12, and editions. You cannot choose it. In fact, right? It is something comes with the latest, completely auto upgraded. If you creating to the 19, maybe 2012 is released, 2022. In fact, it is already like out. There, it is under testing anyway. 2022. After 2019, we'll get that SQL Server 2022. In fact, so 2022, if they release it and if it is get stabilized and it is fully licensed, then it will get auto upgraded without your like intervention. It will get upgraded, but database actually tagged with the compatibility in the cloud. You can run 2005 database also in the cloud. You just have to change the compatibility. It is fully tagged with the compatibility. I can run 2014 database as 2014 only you have to change is the compatibility. It has to match with the version compatibility. It absolutely will have all the features will run with that version. Maybe if you see that some functions are breaking because of it went to the 2019, you change it to 2014, then absolutely it work fine. So it is tagged with the compatibility, especially on the past model. We'll talk about it, don't worry. Software as a service, here you don't do anything at all. That's what I said. It is ready to use softwares. You don't have to worry here at all. Okay. So this is something is ready to use software, as I said, like now Google Play Store is the best example where you can download any app and then like start working on it kind of. Right. Cloud benefit. This is where guys, we're going to spend good time, in fact. Okay. Right. So cost is a first factor for anyone, for any company. See, everybody doing the business to get the money out of the market. No one is doing the business for just for the charity, right? So any company who are startups, especially, they no need to invest on the building data centers and hiring the technicians and making things complex. They don't want. They are directly going to the cloud. Even people are running on-prem. They are also trying to move to the cloud just because of the cost. How it is actually saving the cost, in fact. If I am buying like a new hardware today and it get outdated again, I have to reinvest from the scratch. So that reinvesting again and again definitely will hurt the perform the like the financial status of the company, right? So if it is a cloud, you are directly you don't need to do anything at all. In fact, you don't need to buy the entire software. You have to invest a lot of money on the server, right? It will be in lakhs. In fact, if you go to the server side hardware, it is not cheap, in fact. So cloud computing is eliminating the capital expense of the companies of buying hardware, software, setting up and running on-site data centers. You don't need to run all of that. You don't need to buy the hardware. You don't need to buy the software licensing. It is there in the cloud. You are creating servers, you are getting tracked by default. And you when you are creating every service, they are promptly giving you the charge also straight away. If I'm creating so and so VMs with so and so CPU and memory, and this is the cost for 1 month approximately, there will be 3 to 4% slightly difference based on the plugins you add to the VM, but mostly the cost of the VM will be given straight away. Okay, so when you're building this any service, you're getting the cost of it, and also you don't need to, you don't need to maintain too many infrastructure technicians also. There also you are benefiting, in fact, by going to the cloud. No many, like if it is on-prem, there should be many people to maintain the servers all the time, to maintain the uptime and to maintain all the things that they need it, right? In the cloud you don't need that many people. There should be less people to maintain the infrastructure side especially, right? Then come back to global scale. So nowadays everybody are actually globalizing. No one is just sticking to one particular geographic region and doing the business. If they are succeeding in one location, they are actually expanding to business to another country and continents and worldwide. So that's how the people are growing it. When they are growing actually, so if you look at how it can be, if example, I have started a business in one, one country, as a case, just kind of a case that take it as a US, and you are expanding your business to India, maybe Australia, maybe Japan, right? Right. So you are just expanding your business to different countries and continents. When you are expanding your business, you build a data center initially here because you are started your business in US, assume a case. So I cannot serve the data to every location from one single data center. You can do that, but there will be huge latency, right? Because these are geographically too far. When I'm making a call from the India server to US server, definitely there will be latency, right? The connection has to travel through all around, it is different part of the globe, in fact, like opposite part of the globe, in fact. So it has to travel through all the way to the US server and get the response. Is definitely time taking process. So you cannot again go to every region and host the data center and then sync the data in the background. This is a very expensive solution, in fact, right? Why? Because we discussed to maintain the data center, how big a headache it is, right? They cannot build a data center in every country they are going and doing the business. So cloud has given the absolute ready-made solution, like you operate your like centralized data center in your home country, but other regions you can build all the cloud solutions and then integrate your network with the US network and then start working. So you are serving the data from the locality of that geographic region. The cloud is giving ready-made solution to anyone to globalize easily, in fact, because the resources you can build nearest to that operational center and then serve the data from there itself, and data get accumulated here, and in the background it'll sync it to the data center where you want it. You can simply do that basically. So what I wanted to conclude here is, guys, the when people are globalizing, they cannot go and build data center everywhere, and cloud has existence everywhere nowadays, almost in all countries where the IT is getting most used, in fact. So they can build data centers everywhere where they are going and in the cloud, and they can seamlessly talk to one region to other region without any issues. How we can form the communication between two different continents or countries whatsoever, I'm going to show that in live. In fact, we're going to see that in lab, how we can form the communication between the two different geographic regions, and how do they communicate as if like a single network. Though they are geographically different, they are running with a different network, still they can seamlessly work as if like a single network. How that can happen, we're going to see that. We're going to see in practical, in fact. So the globalization became very simple for anyone with, right, when the cloud is actually giving such benefits, such ready-made solutions, people can take it easily, of course. So ability to scale elastically and delivering the right amount of IT resources when it needed from the right geographic location. This is what, if you run the resources from one region and giving the data to all the regions, definitely there will be latency. Though you optimize very well at the backend, but still the communication channel where it is too far, right? It has to send a request, it has to send back the data. If it is large, then it will take more bandwidth. The more bandwidth, more delay because more far from the current data center. That's not the case of current business model. They build the rate, they serve the data in, from the right geographic location with the help of the cloud. It became very simple. So this is called hybrid. So you're running here on-prem with your own data center, but wherever you are expanding your business in other countries, you're going with the cloud. It's a combination of on-prem and cloud. This is called hybrid computing model. In fact, performance. So performance all the time is important. Any business to serve the data, if you are example going to ATM and you are just using your card and waiting for 10 minutes to get the money, so do you go to that ATM again? You don't. You go to someone else's ATM. There are many competitors, many machines are available, so your machines nobody will use it. And slowly your bank also, people not believe it and they don't want to do it because the kind of issues people are facing it. So what I wanted to conclude here, guys, performance is very important. People need things instantly, they don't want to wait, because if you cannot do things instantly, there are competitor who can do instantly. So your business will have to shut down if you cannot serve the data. Everything going through the data only nowadays. Every single thing, whatever you talk about, everything is a data, and data is absolutely processed to the computers. And computers must be absolutely out. Like it has to be software wise, it has to be upgraded. Hardware also should be sophisticated to process that data. Okay. So benefits in corporate data centers include reduced network latency for applications, easy of upgradation, hardware to meet the height. See, performance by globalizing the business and keeping the data in the local. First, you are gaining the performance, right? First, you are gaining the performance because you're serving the data from the right geographic location. The connection is not traveling to different region to get the data. It is getting the data in the from that region itself. So the call will be nearest to the server, so it can easily with the best performance it can give you. That is one thing. Second thing is hardware. The hardware specs, maybe if it get outdated, maybe software also you have to upgrade with the newer versions to get more features, more user friendly options that you wanted with the product. You have to definitely upgrade time to time to the latest versions of the software. Hardware matters, even software also matters. Even like if your hardware is out, like a latest one, but software is not latest one, software will not capable of using the features, and it cannot process the data as well because of the limitations that the product has, right? So you have to time upgrade the server hardware and software. But doing that, you have to buy a new servers and upgrade parallelly. We don't do the in place upgrades nowadays, is no one is preferring it. In place upgrades are something, if you do the upgrade, there is no downgrade. In fact, if you are upgrading a server to B server, you upgrade and applications are not functioning on some of the applications, you can switch back. In fact, it is a maintenance window where you do the planning and all that, and you'll have a safer side. You can switch back and switch to the forward if required. So that flexibility will be there. So that's why you definitely have to go with the side by side. When you go with the side by side, you have to buy the entire infrastructure. In fact, right? When you are upgrading a software or hardware, you need a new server. In fact, to not to interrupt the business. So that is a frequent activity, right? You have to do it yearly or twice a year, maybe 2 3 years maybe. So you have to scale up the resources time to time with the in terms of hardware and software. When you have to do that, you have to get the standbys. So that is a huge headache, in fact. But cloud is not like that. You just create a new server and migrate all the data from the old server to new server with all the high configurations, and then destroy the old one once it is confirmed that everything is fine on the new server. So it became easy for the people to upgrade software, hardware, and also you're getting the performance by giving the data from the right geographic region. So this is another big benefit we need to consider. Next, speed of delivery. Speed of delivery is also become very, very important. Why? Because no one is waiting for years to get the service. They wanted a business, they need the IT resource to be developed so quickly, so that they can start doing the business. Kind of everybody agile nowadays, they don't want to wait for months and years actually to get your software developed or your infrastructure to be ready. So that's where the cloud actually giving the benefit, right? So agility in provisioning of computing resources through self-service on-demand feature enable the flexibility depressurized capacity planning. So if it is on-prem Azure case, you need a server, there will be a separate department called procurement department. So procurement, the IT team will give the requirement, okay, we need these many servers for upcoming project and there is no capacity. Then procurement team will get the requirement and procurement team will go to the finance team to get the budget approved. Then these people will go to the vendor and then give the specifications of the server what you wanted. They build the server, they will give it to you, and you have to put it in the network and install the operating system, assign the IPs, and give it to the product guy. Product guy will install, then it will go to the actual implementation. So that's where the cycle of implementation is absolutely time taking process. You definitely need this process to track how much expenses you are doing on the IT resources side. So if it is a cloud, any big server, any small or big, doesn't matter, 2 to 3 minutes maximum it takes to create the server to bring it online with all the resources. It's such a simple thing. Anybody can create a server and make it ready within an hour. Any software, just install on top of it. You can even automate it. The VM will create, the software will get installed, everything. We're going to see that how we can automate SQL Server directly with all the standards. Okay, so here the delivery of the resources became very fast, in fact, because of the ready-made solution that you have. It few clicks will create the server, then you can standardize the template. Using the templates, you build a server will get all the prerequisites in it. You just have to install required version and edition and give it to the people straight away. So you're not wasting time. In fact, within an hour you can stand up a server and hand off the server as well. So that simple it is. So that way, the speed of deliveries became one of the important point again, why we need to consider the cloud. Enhance the productivity. So before cloud evolved, that if one of the person is SME in one technology, they used to have a good demand. Nowadays, even you are so sophisticated, knowledgeable person in one technology, people are not giving the good value in the market, the companies, I mean to say, because there are many people who are learning multiple technologies and people are getting versatile in the technical terms, technically. So when you have a more technologies into your profile, you will get a good position. I mean, you can easily crack the interviews, you can easily get the job, and your company also will offer you good packages and all that. So if you are sticking with only one technology, you're outdated, as simple as it is. From where this trend is started, in fact, this trend is started with the cloud itself, I can say. Why? Because cloud is giving the ready-made options for the people to manage the services, right? When some few things are automatically managed, then people get the time. In fact, they have to invest somewhere to scale up themselves to learn other technologies and support it. If a single employee can support 2 3 technologies, company will benefit, right? So that's where the cloud has automated most of the things, so that employees don't need to work on too many things what we do in the on-prem. So when they don't have too much work, then they have to focus on other things. That's where this demand came from. In fact, with the implementation of the cloud only, people are asking to have multiple technologies into their profile. In fact, okay. So the enhancing productivity of the employees, in fact. So removing racking, stacking, and hardware, software patching, and let's IT spend time achieving the more important goals. These are all remote. So what the people can do, they have to work on different things. One employee can support on many things. In fact, that way the company will get benefited, right? One person is supporting many things. Reliability. This talks about two things. In fact, like data recoverability and data security. See, in terms of data security, let's talk about that a little here. I created a past database, and they create automatically 2 more copies. You don't have to order this. It does in the background automatically, 2 copies. Whatever you do here, it gets reflected on 2 copies asynchronously, not synchronously, but asynchronously, in fact. So here there will be backups, inbuilt backups. You don't have to schedule a backup of a SQL database. By default, it takes the backup continuously full, and every 5 to 10 minutes log backup automatically. And this backup also copied 1 more copy here, 1 more copy into remote region automatically. Even this entire thing is down, still you can recover the data from here. It is a background architecture. You don't have to ask the Microsoft that I need this. You create a database, it will create 2 more copies in the background automatically. And this thing, these copies, you cannot see it. In fact, there are certain like purchasing models where you can use these copies for the automatic redirection, and this for the write load, this two for the read load. It comes with the like you have to pay money for that. We will talk about it anyway, how we can use this background standbys for the read workload. We're going to see that. But if you create a database in the past model, It creates two standby database automatically. Why they are maintaining two copies? In fact, if it is running on the hardware is hardware with the cloud or with the on-prem, it doesn't matter. If it gets corrupted, the healthy copy will do the checksum with other copies, all cyclic manner. It does a checksum of the data integrity. In fact, data is, like it's not corrupted, it is good in shape, kind of thing. It will do the internal checksum. In fact, if example this live database is live, some portion is corrupted, the healthy copy will come and repair automatically and replace the data with healthy data, and the user will read the data seamlessly. The user does not know that there is a corruption happened, it got repaired. In fact, it is a fully automated algorithmic operation. Even data is corrupted, you absolutely have the recovery through the healthy copies. It does self recovery. You don't have a corruption in the past model because this model is already taken care of. Though there is a corruption, the healthy copy will repair it automatically, and user does not know that it happened. Another thing is, if I delete a table, table will get deleted in every copy. In fact, right? It is fully automated operation. You delete here, you instructed, it will go and delete here as well. That is a data loss. It's a manual corruption. It's not a system corruption. It's a manual corruption. By mistake, someone deleted. You have the fully automated backups. When this got deleted, you just give a timestamp. It will build up to the point automatically with single click away. You have the full data recovery even the system is crashed or user corrupted data by mistake. In all the cases, you have the recovery in the cloud. Even you delete a database by mistake, it will be maintained for 7 days minimum of 7 days. You can get it back the database, with a single click. In fact, there is a downtime, of course. Even you delete a database by mistake also, database won't delete. It will maintain in a recycle bin kind of thing. Okay. So from there, you can recover it with a single click up to the point of deletion. There are a lot of protections added. Okay. Data protection. Reliability talks about data protection. Okay. Data is absolutely protected. Your SQL server, no one can connect. No one can connect from the cloud. No one can connect from the external world. You have to allow who has to connect to the SQL server. So you are handling it. You are actually giving the access to someone else, means the E should be authorized, as simple as it is. The protection of the data comes in a shared responsibility model. Cloud has already protected. Database is by default encrypted. Okay, no one can hack the data, but once the system is created, the service is created, you will have to allow your network which one you wanted to interact with. In fact, so it comes at the shared responsibility model. Something is hacked in the cloud and a past database, means you are responsible, not the cloud. Cloud is protected in all the areas. Only you allowed the network to communicate, and that network attacked, and that network attack actually came to the cloud as well. So we will talk about in practical how these things can be controlled with the best standards, corporate standards. I'm going to talk about. Okay. So what I wanted to conclude is reliability of the data. Your data is absolutely protected. If it is a VM model, VM they don't protect. Within the VM, you installed a SQL server, you created a disk, and disk is corrupted. Corrupted means corrupted. They cannot do anything. That is also a hardware. You have given, always on. You have given different technologies to sync the data to different server. So you have to do that. You take the daily snapshots or do the VM replication. There are many options given. But within the VM, if a disk is corrupted, Microsoft does not help you to recover. It is your responsibility to take the continuous backups to recover up to the point. And other cases, maintain the HA technologies instantly to get the failover, to instantly have that failover and data to be available for the applications. It is your responsibility. The options are given. Data will not be protected if it is a VM. You have to protect with the technology, given technology. Okay. Pass by default protected anyway. Right. So the first is the data recovery and second is security. Both are absolutely maintained by the cloud. You don't have to worry about. It is, we will spend good time on this side to conclude the reliability of the cloud. In fact, how safe my data in the cloud? That's a important question, right? It is absolutely safe as long as you don't give the access to the unauthorized people. In fact, right. Okay. Question. Just a minute. As Azure DBA, what's our roles and responsibility? Exactly. We have a lot of things. Yeah, that's what our course. I'm going to come into at the end. I'm going to talk about this. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about our course, what we're going to talk in our course. I'll wind up that. Okay. Yeah, I'll answer your question. Don't worry. Next is cloud offerings. There are companies, there are many cloud providers in the market, including, the managed services, I mean to say. The major contributors in cloud area is actually Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google Compute. Actually, in fact, AWS is the top leader in terms of revenue at the moment. Azure is a top leader in terms of infrastructure. The highest and the topmost, resources are with the Microsoft Azure itself. They are growing year by year. They are expanding their infrastructure month by month. In fact, they are building a lot of, if you compare with the again, if you are using the Microsoft products, okay, if you are using the Microsoft products, just quickly, AWS is 5 times costlier than Azure. It is clearly mentioned on the official website. If you look at this, right, AWS is 5 times more expensive than Azure for Windows Server and SQL Server. If you have the Microsoft product, especially if you have the Microsoft products, you have to choose Azure to get the most benefit, deeper discounts. In fact, you see this one in the official website. They clearly mention for the Microsoft product like Windows Server, SQL Server. If you're using the Azure, you pay 5 times lesser. If you go to the AWS, 5 times more. Obviously, people are going to the cloud or anywhere to save the money. So why do they go to the AWS? Maybe some people are already migrated. See, when I started my career, we had all the servers on AWS. Then we have all the servers in Azure. We migrated, in fact, because of the benefits the Azure is giving for the, especially to the Microsoft products, all the Microsoft products. So that's where the Microsoft is actually really rapidly growing. It is attracting all its customers. That's enough almost to compete anyone in the market. They're giving deeper discounts. You buy the reserve the resource for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you get the very deep discounts, 60% discount. On top of the 60% discount, use a hybrid licensing model. You already have the Windows server running on the on-prem and you use the same licensing in the cloud. Straight away, you get the 20 to 50% of the license benefit based on the your server size, in fact. So Azure is attracting all its customers with the best discounts, and especially for the Microsoft products, Azure is the best platform to migrate. In fact, not to the AWS. AWS is actually started in 2016, 2006, in fact, and Azure started getting the response from 2014. It was there 2010 itself, but no one was used Azure. Azure has a lot of issues. In fact, there was no stabilization. Server used to shut down on its own, and you had to raise a case, get it online. There used to be a lot of issues. Even I have seen when I started my career. But now things are absolutely as good as AWS. All services are available in Azure, whatever you have in AWS. Okay. So again, Azure actually, why we need to learn Azure? As a SQL DBA, Azure is the best thing for us. Why? Because the kind of benefits Azure is giving, people are enrolling to the Azure cloud only than AWS for SQL implementation, especially. So obviously, if you look at the openings wise, AWS actually has come down openings wise. Azure has more openings now because of the wide implementation and more benefits what Azure is offering, and it is growing the infrastructure like anything. It is far more than the AWS in terms of infrastructure as of now. What is the question? Let me read it. Suppose my project is running in a hybrid model. How can we minimize the cost on compute resource? How to check? Only need to check the DTU method or any other. There are many methods. See, I'm part of the cost optimization in my project. I'm part of it. I'm going to tell you all the tricks how we can save the cost. There are many metrics we need to look at. It's not one metric. Okay, you can decide that in scale down database or scale up a database. We have to look at different areas, in fact, to give the resource or to take the resource out of it. So I'm part of the cost optimization in my project. So I'll explain all my experience. Wherever we can save the cost, I'll stress out. Okay, this is what you need to look at, and this is how you have to scale up a VM. See, we have to look at many metrics. What are the metrics we need to look at before we scale up? Is it really eligible or not? People do ask, the server is absolutely underscaled and we want it to be scaled up with the so and so resources. We don't do that. We have to do our verification first. What are the things we need to look at? So that is something I'm going to talk about in the course anyway. Don't worry. I'll clearly explain that cost optimization methods. Google Compute actually, Google Cloud is not that competitor to this at the moment, but yet it is coming into the competition. Not at the moment. It is holding very less percentage of the market compared to these cloud providers as of now. Google Cloud also is growing, but not that existent like compared to this at the moment. Okay. Why we need to learn Azure Microsoft products? Especially all Microsoft products are user friendly. Okay, absolutely user friendly. They make any product anyone can learn. See, if you are giving a technology into the market, there should be people to support it first, right? So to support it, people need to learn. If they are able to learn quickly, the more resources will generate. The more resources they will generate to support the product, also they can easily sell. So compared to AWS, I do work on both the clouds. Migration of database from on-prem to Azure, on-prem to AWS. Absolutely, Azure is so easy platform to migrate. AWS, it involves multiple things. In fact, you migrate the data to storage S3 bucket. From the S3 bucket, you cannot access it from the VM. In fact, you have to download and restore, or else you have to go to the third-party software. There are complexities involved. If it is Azure straight away method, you take the backup to blob and then directly restore to the VM. There is no third-party software or intermediate service involved. So they did not make things. They don't make things complex. In fact, they make things very easy to learn for anyone, right? That's why user friendly product, all Microsoft products, easy to learn and manage, rapid growth in the cloud computing. These people are implementing the infrastructure like anything. Okay, compared to others, the Azure has a far more better infrastructure than the AWS completely at the moment. Okay, more regions and data centers than any other cloud competitor at the moment. These people have the more existence than AWS right now. Azure has a more existence. The more existence, the more demand, right? So AWS is old cloud technology, but they don't have existence somewhere they need it. Azure has it, they have to go to the Azure only. There is no option. That way also Azure is growing, rigorously. Cost effective compared to other competitor. Microsoft always try to lure the customers with a deeper discounts. Okay, they do give a lot of discounts, so obviously people need to save the money. They definitely you know look look for the Azure. In fact, the last thing is what kind of certifications you can take after this. In fact, so you can take AG104. These are all old codes. Actually, I can remove it. This used to be old codes. 7050. This is what I certified when I started. AG1031. This one certification, split into two certificates to gain that certificate. Again, they merged into one. Again, they released this one. This is the latest one. So I can take out these codes. This you don't need it. In fact, these are all old code. Let it be if it is even it is there. So with this course, actually, you can go with the AG104, which is infrastructure administration. This will be covered. A little of extra preparation is required, but yes, it covers 70% of the syllabus. And this one, DB300, designing and implementing cloud data platform solutions. This is what is a database administrator need to take this exam. This exam is a lot of people got passed after our classes anyway. So I have the dumps also. I'll share with whatever the certification you wanted to go with. I have the dumps, almost recent dumps, people who gave the exam and they shared with me. I'll share all of that as a DBA can record that. Anything. See, it's a part of your business requirement. You see, in my case, I have the IAS model, I have the pass model. It's not something you only stick with the VM model, you only stick with the pass model. Pass is something doesn't come with the required version. I need only 2016, I don't want 2019. Then you don't have a choice in the pass, you have to go to the VM only. In fact, okay, and you wanted to control the product, there is no uptime downtime for the pass SQL server. You cannot stop the SQL server, it absolutely runs 24 by 7. There is no control over it. So on the VM side, you have the full control for anything, for any maintenance activities. So there are many factors. We will go to the pass model. There are many factors will go to the VM model. So that will be concluded in our course anyway. Okay. Right now, you don't understand, even if I say it. What are the reasons we go to the pass model? What are the reasons we go to the VM model? The clear differentiation we're going to talk about. Okay. That part will be covered. So any questions from anyone before I talk about syllabus quickly? Anyone? Any questions that comes to your mind?
As of now, nothing, Ravinder.
Okay, good then. Let's move on to the syllabus. In past IAS model, just a minute, I'll read out this question someone posted. In PaaS IAS model, is there any IAS admin different? See, PaaS is something is different. IAS is something you create a VM. Within the VM, you do whatever you wanted to do. You're installing the SQL server. You are fully responsible for patching the SQL server, upgrading the SQL server, taking the backups and protecting against corruption, security models, everything like on-prem. Whatever you do in on-prem, you have to do in the cloud also. They are given a VM, that's it. There is no protection for it. I mean, not about the network side. I mean production wise, everything you have to do it. If it is a PaaS model, you don't have to do that. It is inbuilt backups, you have it, and inbuilt recoveries, you have it, and database has automatic tuning options, you have it, and the DR plans are inbuilt. In fact, there are many things you'll get it. So both are different. In fact, the most of the administration we will go towards the PaaS model only. IaaS is simple anyway. We're going to talk about. If I have to move huge amount of the data from on-prem to Azure, what connectivity would be the best between the Azure and on-prem? Only data export? No, no, no. There are many methods. There are 4 or 5 migration methods I'm going to talk about. Migration is a big topic for us. It's a very important topic. How you can migrate to the PaaS, how you can migrate to the managed instance, how we can migrate to the VM. There are dedicated sessions on that. It is very important. Without migration, learning cloud is absolutely nothing, I can say. We have many migration methods we're going to talk about. Okay, we have dedicated sessions towards that. Yeah. So any other question? Right. Just a minute. There is one more question. I'll read out. In my company, we are using PaaS model for prod, but it has a lot of disadvantages like no SQL server agent, which that I'm going to cover. PaaS model does not have SQL agent, but it has a lot of automation methods. You have Azure Elastic Agent job, Azure Logic Apps, PowerShell runbooks. In fact, you can run your runbooks in, and you can use the on-prem SQL agent through the link server. Also, you can automate, right? So you can use on-prem PowerShell to talk to the cloud and do the automation. There are 4 or 5 different automation methods. I'm going to talk about that. Yes, automation is also 5 different types of automation I'm going to talk about. So how we can automate in PaaS model where we don't have a skill agent. Okay, equivalent task, other services will do it. We're going to see that. That's a good question. Yes, but that will absolutely covered how we can automate in the PaaS model when there is no skill agent. There are many alternatives. Don't worry. It is simple. You can convert a job, on-prem job to automate in the cloud so simply with a few, configurations. We'll do that. So don't worry. I mean, PaaS model is different. VM model is different. VM can integrate with on-prem, but PaaS doesn't. PaaS does not have underlying, resource that you have control. It only integrates with the Azure Active Directory. VM will integrate with the on-prem Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory, on-prem Active Directories are different. Identities are different. Permissions are different. Mapping is different. So we're going to talk about all that in practical. Don't worry. It's only the introduction. So everything I cannot show and convince you, right? But yes, we have that. So tomorrow, like in the sense, every Sunday no class, guys. We'll have a in India time. We'll have a class from like Saturday to Monday to Saturday. Sundays we don't have class. For US guys, Sunday to Friday, no class on Saturday. So tomorrow no class. Okay, we will meet again on 11th. In fact, for US guys also, we will meet on your Sunday night. Okay, Saturday you don't have class. I just wanted to update that, and the link is also same. Whatever the link I sent, use the same link till the end of the course. It won't get changed. It is absolutely same. If it is changed, I give a prior notice to everyone. Link got changed, use the new link kind of. I have all the details, right, of everyone. So let's talk about that, guys. How we divided the entire course. First, introduction to Azure. We are doing the introduction itself. What is Azure? Why we need to learn Azure? What is cloud technology, right? Why the cloud is actually getting implemented? We talked about the benefit that the cloud is giving, in fact, right? First thing is cost. Always the cost matters everywhere. Cost is absolutely saved, and you can globalize and you get in a good performance and you're able to deliver the resources. You don't need to do the capacity planning. If it is on-prem, you always have to check the buffer resources. If your infrastructure is used up to 80%, you have to, or 90%, 10% only left. It can be occupied at any point of time. You have to buy the resources in advance to like to serve the business demand, in fact. So you are keeping 30% of the infrastructure all the time free with you to serve the data growth. You have to be ready with the anything that comes to your servers, right? You have to maintain 30% of the infrastructure free all the time. In the cloud, you don't have to do nothing. You have to do one click away. It gets extended to any size, any disk size, or any VM size, doesn't matter. One click away. No need to do any capacity planning, all that. It is absolutely giving all the benefits, right? And reliability, data is absolutely protected in all the ways. Your data is by default encrypted in the PaaS model. Your disks are encrypted by default on the VM side. data is 100% protected from the cloud side. But how you are protecting your side is another thing that we need to consider, and we're going to discuss that. Okay. So cloud introduction, this is what. And in the next class, we're going to see that how we can create Azure free subscription, and how we can, what are the things we need to explore as part of the portal. So if you know, you have to definitely know few things to operate from the Azure cloud. So basic things I'm going to cover in the next class. Someone have a question? Deepak,
Hi,
you have a question?
Ravinder.
Yeah, hi,
Yeah,
Hari.
hi, Ravinder. This is good. Actually, my question is about a license for free license for state portal. So,
Can
there is any restriction to buy the person with the same one mail ID.
Deepak, I could actually hardly, understand your question. Uh, Your voice is
Actually,
not
my question
clear.
is, so, okay, just hold a second. Huh?
Yeah, a little bit better now. Can can you repeat your
Uh,
question?
yeah, actually, my question is about to buy the free subscription for SEO. So there is any limitation to buy a license with the same mail ID and the same credit card details?
Okay, okay,
How
okay,
many
okay.
one person buy it?
Okay, you mean to say that same credit cards, how many times I can use for creating the free subscription?
No.
There used to be no tracking, but nowadays, when the pandemic is started, they started tracking a lot on that. You can use one credit card, but with a different email ID. Subscription used to get created. Even now, also it will create. I guess I did not try it. You can use it. I mean, use a credit card, one credit card with a different email ID. It will create, I guess, because the bill anyway they need the bill and the credit card can pay it. But free subscription anyway 1 month, and after 1 month your credits will get over. I'll talk about that credits and free subscription, how it can be created, and once it is created, what are the things we need to know in the portal as part of the administrator. What are the things we need to know in the portal? I'll clearly cover that. Okay, there is one more question.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
fine.
Yeah. Do we need to install any software for the class purpose? Absolutely no. Yes, we have to install some plugins when we go into the more of towards product migrations, upgradations. When you have to install some plugins to support that. So to install the plugins, you need to have Windows 10. Windows 10 is the best operating system with all the cloud plugins. So that something is very small plugins. In fact, we do install a lot of plugins when we start the migrations, upgradations, and all that. We're going to talk about that, but if you have a Windows 10, you're absolutely good. Nowadays we can do debit card as well. Debit card you have to check. I'm not sure on that. They used to allow, but nowadays again they stopped. It seems I'm not sure on that. Just give a try. If it works, just update. Maybe others can also use it if they don't have credit card. Right. I did last month. Good enough. If it is they are allowing debit card, that's something good. Everybody can have debit card and create it. Right. So guys, second class, second module talks about how we can create a free account, and after the account is created, how we can connect, what are the things we need to know to do the administration. The entire session goes towards that. Then implementing the Agile virtual machine. See, just creating a virtual machine doesn't make sense. It has a lot of families, and you need to create a VM for the SQL server where it really runs well, right? It has different families, in fact. So you don't understand what is a virtual machine family as of now. When you're creating the SQL server on top of the VM, the VM also need to be optimized for running the product, especially database product. And we're going to see that how we can migrate the data between the VMs, how we can migrate from on-prem to cloud VM, right? How we can automate the task, like you wanted to create a VM, the VM will have all the SQL Server standards already inbuilt in it. So how we can automate all of that, right? We're going to see that how we can restart the machine, how we can expand the disk, how we can deallocate the VM, how we can delete the VM, how we can recover the VM if it is deleted by mistake, how we can restore the VM. So these are all operations we will cover here. These are all only towards the product. Don't worry about I'll go out of this content. It is required knowledge for a person who working as a SQL DBA towards the product. Towards the product, how we need to protect the VM, right? It is running on the VM. Product is just a software which is running on top of the VM, but the VM itself is having the problem. So how you come out of it? That's where this discussion will come into handy. Implementing Azure networking, this is very important. How your SQL Server is communicating, and if it is not communicating, where you can look at and what you can do, really, how we can verify it. So all that will be covered. And load balancer, especially load balancer is required knowledge for the SQL DBA, internal, external, geographic load balancers. We will use it. Okay, we will use the load balancers for routing the connections to the always on group in the cloud. It is a must knowledge for us. Planning and implementing storage is very important. To migrate, most of the migration methods goes to the storage. In fact, large databases, you definitely have to go to the storage. What kind of storage, different types of storage we have, and each one will be used for what purpose. We're going to spend good time there again. The major module for us is this one, especially. Okay, so here we're going to talk about all the DB activities that you do in on-prem in the past, alternative methods. You do everything what you do in on-prem, but in a different way, not like exactly on-prem. Things are different. The kind of interaction of the services is different. We're going to spend, I gave the syllabus to everyone, I guess. If not, I'll send it again in today's class. Implementing Azure Active Directory. This is also another important point because PaaS does not integrate with on-prem. It only integrates with the Azure Active Directory. How we can integrate, how we can make people to communicate with their Azure Windows accounts, in fact, the identity management. And what kind of privileges we have to maintain the cloud resource as a SQL DBA, right? And automation, administration of cloud resource using the PowerShell, CLI. We're going to see this. This is the last module for us. Automations. Automations is very important. That is the last module. 5 different types of automation I'm going to cover. And detailed explanation is given for every module in the course content. I guess I would have shared. If not shared, I'll share it with everyone. Don't worry. So this is all about demo, guys. Um, if anyone want to ask anything, please let me know. If not, I'll stop and stay back again. Please stay back. I'll stop the recording if you don't have a question.